KHMC Magic 95 assumes no responsibility for its content, and the Wade and Carter Show bears all responsibilities for their opinions and guests on their show.
Joe Biden tells you how many people you can have at Thanksgiving. Monday Night Football yawner, Baseball Hall of Fame list of potential inductees released. Dominion software and a whole lot more coming up on today's Wade and Carter Show.
Now, before we do this, let's go over the ground rules. Rule number 1, no touching of the hair or face. And that's it. Now let's do this.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you. That was my best Andy Kaufman. Folks, it's 43 degrees in sunny Victoria, Texas. 43 heading to a high of 79. That's the Deerland Feed weather.
All your ag and pet needs, Deerland Feed is the place to go.
And just if you need a friend, just go by. Like if you're lonely,
Lacey will talk to you.
Just go by and talk to Lacey Deerland Rosenquist. She's a nice lady. Just like, hey, Wade Carter sent me. I'm a lonely guy. Oh, okay, good. Go back there in the back with Habib and Lisa. I'll be there in a minute.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like
stay out of the way of productivity, and you'll get along fine over
just
there.
Go climb up on that round bell. You'll feel better. If you get up on a round bell and just sit there, look out.
Used to love climbing on those as a kid.
Absolutely. So
now I can't climb up on them.
Right? I told Graydon, what's Graydon going to call you?
Duda. That's what he calls me.
Duda. Is that Russian?
Dadushka is Russian. Yeah.
See,
you can't quite pronounce it.
Bless
it came out as Duda, which is good. I'm good with that.
Is it okay if I just call you Doo-Doo?
No, it doesn't work. Is it okay if I just pull her sweater over your head and feed you lunch?
What do we call Cheryl?
Babs.
Cheryl.
She's Babs.
Kyle had a buddy in high school who called his parents by their first name and always cracked me up. Yeah. Very funny. He'd walk in the morning, hey, Pauline. I mean, like, really? It's like people who need people.
Where's that kid today? In jail?
Yeah. Prison.
No respect for parents.
Right.
Bobby Leister, first one in.
So?
I know, it wins you nothing.
Get you nothing. What's the Leisterometer say?
I don't know. We'll check. Myra Mickish, good morning. Judge Posey slipping to third place this morning. C.W. Bean, Chris Conrad moving back up into the top 5.
The judge always has a couple of ballots in his back pocket. He'll move right back to the top of the list.
Rena Scherer, good morning, Rena. David Glass, Karen Webb, Robin Morgan Ipling. Bobby Leister says we're holding steady at 338 on the Leisterometer. Matt Boucher, good morning. Johnny Houghton. Johnny would be a little higher on the list, but he has to deal with the exchange rate from Canada.
Is he in Newfoundland?
Manitoba.
Okay. Well, he's in Newfoundland. I mean, he's really an hour and a half early.
Yeah. Andy Rhea Jr., Chris Conrad. Now we're waiting on the equipment.
Conrad, really? You got to come in and
first thing, yep.
Got to come in and hammer us. We know we're inadequate.
Hopefully the new equipment's in this week. Scott Tomko, good morning. H.R. Mallory, Christina Wise, Greg Garcia. There's your daughter, Kendall.
Hello, Kendall.
Andrea Canning says, terrific Taco Tuesday morning to you. Is that a thing?
I don't know.
I guess it is in her world.
Taco Tuesday is a big deal. You hear that.
Lisa Poole, Amanda Smith King, Madeline Mayer, good morning. She's wishing Chris Jansen a good morning. So.
David Brogger's in. Look at that.
Tom Price, Richard King, BJ Nelson.
Where's the equipment coming from? From the internet. We
ordered the interwebs.
We ordered it from a store that deals with great broadcast equipment. There's Byron Burris.
Good morning, Byron.
How about that? Double B's back in the house.
Must be in town.
Yeah, he's been.
Or he's on vacation.
It's not coming from China.
No, I don't believe it is.
No, it's American made. Sony.
Close enough.
Good morning, T-Lad. I know you're out there.
Oh, where do we want to start this morning? A new vaccine, Moderna, I think. Is that the name of the company?
Moderna
Medicine. They say their vaccine has been 94% effective in their
Not just
recent
90, 94.
So better than Pfizer. And one of the key differences, which I didn't find out until today, Pfizer has to keep that vaccine at like nearly 100 degrees below zero. So you're storing that sucker in dry ice, basically, right?
That's really
Iceman will wake up.
Swiatkowski.
Yeah.
He'll know.
But the Moderna one can be kept just in a regular refrigerator. It doesn't have to. Both are two-shot vaccines or whatever they call them. I don't know the exact term, but you got to get two of them for them to be effective certain days apart. But
BJ Nelson is asking, who's at the helm of Moderna? Is that a Bill Gates company?
I don't know.
Warren Buffett? George Soros?
Could now I don't know.
Hunter Biden's on their board.
No, yeah.
He's got an extensive pharmaceutical background.
James Kerr says 94% with a vaccine for a virus with a 99% survival rate.
Yeah, but that narrows it down. So it means if you got 1,000 people, 940 won't get it. Of the other 60 that do, 99% are living anyway. So, it's almost as inconsequential as the virus is actually now.
Eddie Zuniga asked a question. Y'all see any more lockdowns coming to South Texas again? I don't.
No. Texans are going to resist that.
Yeah. Justin Glass, good morning. No, I have to do a little more digging into the data, but it certainly seems to be my observation that all of these states, and we're talking lockdown, Michigan, California, New York, New Jersey.
They're all Democrats.
Well, even take the politics out of it. These are all states that are talking lockdown. They've been in severe lockdown for most of the year since this thing pretty much arrived from China back in March or January, whenever, but reared its ugly head. We really became aware of it in March because that's after, Pelosi and them went to Chinatown for their dim sum and then decided that the rest of the world had to take it seriously, right?
Right. She took her mask off. I'm here in Chinatown. Everything's good. They have vodka.
Yeah. Try the steamed buns or the sticky buns. They're good.
Right.
Then you can put your mask on and go about it. But but is it because these are all the states that already had mass lockdowns, and now they're talking lockdown again. They've had strict mask ordinances. My observation seems to be that what we're doing doesn't really seem to be working.
Right.
And again, I contend it's a virus. It's going to do virusy things. And if we have proper masks, which no one does, and they were worn properly, you might really reduce the risk of probably catching it or even transmitting it if you have it.
Right. Good morning, Sheriff Louderback.
I don't know. No passive aggressiveness.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Go back up. Somebody made a good point. I saw it. I just didn't get to quote it. Like 3 or 4 comments up. Not a dozen. Just
Eddie Zuniga says 11 states moving backwards in the reopening phases.
Yeah. One more, right? One more. Right there. No, go up one more. Says, so Biden was speaking yesterday and said that we need to vaccinate 300 million Americans. Is the implication that the vaccine will be mandatory? I believe it will be. I think that they're going to come in. You're going to see things in the name of protecting your health that you never even contemplated as an American.
No, you're going to have to carry your vaccine record.
You're going to have your papers.
Yep. They're
going to say, I need to see your papers. Oh, you're at HEB and you have a mask. I need to see your papers. Have you been vaccinated? And if not,
I don't know if it'll
you
get down
can't
to
travel.
I don't know if it'll get down to that level, but that's where I think it's heading. Travel and interstate travel.
Oh yeah, can't leave the state of Texas. And if Texas doesn't abide with the lockdowns, can't leave Texas. If you go to New York, got to be quarantined 2 weeks. It's going to kill commerce.
Yeah, Chris Conrad referring to and Joe Biden yesterday saying, well, me and Jill were, like many of you, talking about our Thanksgiving plans this morning. I'm like, how many Americans are sitting there on a Monday morning when they're trying to get the kids to school
Right.
and everything else are sitting around talking about what they're going to do for Thanksgiving?
Here's how that Joe.
God darn it, Johnny, get your butt down here. We got to get to school. That's
Right.
the conversation going on Monday morning in most households.
That's because your mom had 3 boys there to deal with.
True enough.
You sure?
And my dad was like, hey, I'm leaving now. If you don't catch the train,
You didn't
it
have
ain't
like
waiting
a
for
sister
you.
y'all kept in a closet or something?
No sister.
Poor Tina.
Poor Tina. Amanda Smith-Sking says schools are taking longer Thanksgiving breaks. Goliath starts theirs today. VISD, I think Friday was it, announced that they're going to go to virtual learning in the high schools for the rest of the semester. I guess from about December, for at least through December. So we're seeing some of that. But here's the problem I have with what Joe Biden said yesterday, because somebody asked him a very loaded question. Well, the health experts are telling me, we can have 5 people at Thanksgiving, maybe a maximum of 10.
Yeah, you have 10 at the Astrodome, you have 10 at your apartment.
Yeah, this is the problem I have with these things is there's no context to it.
Very frustrating.
10 people in a 300 square foot flat in Manhattan is a whole lot different than 10 people outside under a tent at the 2-4 ranch. If it's
Right.
nice out, we decide to have Thanksgiving in the yard, right?
So what are we going to do as Texans? We're going to do what we want to do. That's what we're going to do. I don't believe that Texans are going to stand around and take lightly a government-mandated lockdown again. BJ Nelson pointed out that Fox News has pulled down their election update results. Is it just that they're
Moving
it's
beyond
just
it
not
already?
news, or are they just going to let this kind of subside and go on by?
Or are they making room for the for the NORAD radar for Santa Claus's arrival on Christmas Eve? I don't know.
Which is about as important. Joe Biden may actually be Santa this year. You never know.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of that for Fox News. Is it a sign that the election results they're in the bag, or is it were they trying to soften the blow when Joe Biden doesn't become president? Was that a legit picture I saw, or did somebody Photoshop that on the podium at his press conference yesterday? Because I just listened to part of it. I didn't see it. Office of the President Elect.
No, he created that. He did. He created that to call himself the Office of the President Elect. It's not an office. It's
never been
impersonating an elected official. And this bonehead's been calling world leaders and talking to them.
And don't get me wrong, the Logan Act to me is a stupid law that's only been used to prosecute Michael Flynn, and that's it. Never been used to prosecute anybody else. It kind of actually goes against our Constitution and all our rights.
Sure. Well, they don't want you negotiating on behalf of the United States, cutting deals, and then have somebody come back and say, well, your guy, Joe Biden, how did I know he wasn't in an official capacity? Well, because he had a sucker in his mouth. Joe Biden. Folks, we're heading towards 4 years of mediocrity if this bonehead really gets the presidency. You can't paint a scenario of prosperity with that geriatric Nimrod as president.
No, I have no confidence in. Well, I'm convinced if the economy, if COVID-19 doesn't hit, it was Trump in a landslide.
And that makes you wonder, now that most people agree that it wasn't just a happenstance event, somebody turned it loose. Is it a global conspiracy to destroy the economy of the United States so that we're all on the same playing field? Is it the big reset that people have talked about for years? I don't know. I don't want to be a conspiracy buff, but when somebody turns out a virus that kills hundreds of thousands of people, there should be some accountability. Trump says it's China. Trump says he's going to hold them accountable.
Well, China doesn't care. Can't trust their numbers to begin with. We've all seen the videos out of there of them just hauling people off the street, welding doors shut to apartment buildings, all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah.
They don't care if they kill a bunch of their own. They never have. I mean, what's the latest estimate? 100 million Chinese people dead since the rise of communism
Yeah, they don't care.
in their country alone?
Well, there's a billion of them over there.
And now they're taking their colonization plan into Africa, and the rest of the world's just sitting there going, letting them do what they want to do. Steve Tyler says it'll work like your dog, shots and tags, or you're off to the pound.
Yeah,
Andrew Canning says her husband says he'll be in jail before he takes a vaccine mandated by the government. You already do.
Yeah, you do take some that are mandated by the government. But
Yeah.
I know what you're saying.
HR Mallory says the only thing we've talked about Thanksgiving is my pace to place his order with Uncle Mutz.
Yeah, there you go. Do that before.
Yeah,
It's a great time
Friday.
to tell you. Do that before Friday, folks. You can order Uncle Mudge. You get 5 pounds of turkey, 2 quarts of dressing. You get a quart of cranberry sauce, a quart of gravy. You get some gravy, and you get 2 quarts of side dishes. You're actually going to read that?
Yeah, you get 4 quarts of sides.
4 quarts, double that. Today, Wade and Carter doubles the side dishes, $150.
Only because you misremembered it.
There you go.
And a gallon of fresh brewed tea.
You can't go wrong. You might want to get an extra gallon of tea.
Yeah.
But for $150, I promise.
Well, you got to have something to put your vodka in.
When T-Light and I go to HEB to load up for this deal, it'll be more than $1.50.
And then you still got to cook it.
And then you. That's
And
right.
then
That's exactly right. That's why they pay you the big bucks. Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen's your go-to toe-to. That just rolls off the tongue. Allen's is super busy now, folks. They're out there on 59 North. They have their new facility. If you drive by, it's an impressive operation. You see all those big trucks out there.
I didn't have to complain about anybody this morning because it's nice and clear on the way in.
Yep. Allen's Wrecker Service. The
578-6300.
VCS companies, Rocket Oilfield Services, our banner sponsor, the studio sponsor, and the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer are all part of the Hartman Communication guru-ness.
Empirist.
They are fantastic folks. They're a great friend of the show. We highly recommend. If it communicates, if it surveils, if it monitors, if it provides sound, if it's everything from a walkie-talkie to a CB radio to whatever you need, to the new iPhone 12 with multiple dots to make your friends nervous, go by the VCS companies.
Right there on Kerr Boulevard.
Chesnick Furniture Company, 116 West Waterloo, the corner of 1 Lynn and Bridge. Reach out to them. 100 years in business, 50% off on all furniture right now. You just do better at Chesnick. Bobby Leon and his family say Chesnick and Love make your house a home. Marvin McCush Jr. Why do I always, every morning, think of Marvin Hamlish?
I don't know.
Who I think was also a junior.
It says fried laws and communism is all he's getting out of it.
Fraud. Lies.
Yeah.
You said fried laws, fried laws and communism.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
fraud, lies, and communism.
Adam Daughtry, good morning.
I think you're running a fever.
Maybe. Nope, I'm good.
You look fantastic. Your hair is on point.
Thank you.
I mean, what do you use? Is it just for men, or do you go with a specific color?
There's no color.
I mean, you can tell me. Nobody's listening.
There's no color.
How old are you now?
I'll be 51 in a couple of weeks.
That's what I was saying.
It's just a little tea tree oil pomade. And
So here's the next question. Is it going to let go or change colors? Wally got a little male pattern baldness going on?
No, Wally's still got a pretty good head of hair for 81 years old.
Attaboy.
Wally was like jet black till he turned like 65, and then it just went silvery white. He started to look like Charlie Rich.
My dad will be 84 in December, and what's there is still 50-50 dark brown. It's in the sun, it's dark brown. inside, it looks like he has black hair. It always looked like he had black hair. But Daddy still has dark hair at 84. It's impressive.
James Kerr says Trump was winning in a lot of states until Commander copy and paste hacked the system. We'll talk a little bit about here.
See, it's interesting when James Kurth is a conspiracy buff because James Kurth was an intelligence officer in the military. So James Kurth has been the guy that we're talking about.
Yeah.
He probably hacked in, like something to do with like Manuel Noriega or something.
Johnny Houghton says Biden will carry on Obama's bromance with Trudeau, who talked about the Great Reset.
Yeah.
BJ Nelson says it's all about power unless we fight back. Lorena Bargenbrook says Dragon had a successful docking at the space station. High five to Elon Musk and NASA.
Yeah,
I missed that. I got the notification on Facebook and it had already blasted off on Sunday, so I missed watching it go.
They sent it was a multinational. It was an American astronaut. I think there was a Japanese person. There was a woman. I think they even sent a dog. Everything was represented.
And yep.
Yeah.
What else went up into space before they started putting people? Monkeys and dogs. Wasn't that what the Russians let
Right.
go?
Yeah. You feel bad about that? I mean, you can't get the dog back. You're just trying to
got
see.
people back.
Well, I mean, they've killed more dogs in makeup than they have in space science.
But about a year ago, listen to the roll. This partial roll call.
Fonseca wants a quart of dressing.
You
for
can
himself.
have it.
Kendall likes that shout out to her granddad.
Amy Klobuchar, Elizabeth Warren, two of the prominent names, in a letter that was sent to express concerns about the Dominion software that was used in elections in 2018, and that they had concerns that there might be problems as we head into the 2020 election season.
Nobody did anything about it.
Nothing. But they're relatively silent now that they're trusting. A year ago, they were concerned.
Yeah, but now that
The
Joe's
Dominion
gonna
software,
win,
yeah. But now that the results seem to have come out in the favor of the Democrats, Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar, they're not. Where's their concern that they had a year ago about the software glitches? Some of the things Donald Trump is talking about, they identified specifically in that letter. Votes just switching to the other candidates magically.
exactly.
Donald Trump, in November of 2020, Donald Trump is now basically a nut job. He's a sore loser. He's a lunatic. He's a tyrant. He's just trying to stay on. He's never going to leave office. A year ago, it's a letter of concern signed by Senator Warren and Klobuchar and others, expressing the exact same concerns. And that's a letter of concern. And the government and its typical government doings did nothing about it.
So you think it's win at all costs for the Democrats? Integrity be danged. We can always look at that later.
I think the priority now isn't there because
Al Davis is the head of the Democrat. Just win, baby.
Yeah, because Joe Biden, has a 50,000 vote lead or whatever it is.
Exactly.
You can bet if Donald Trump was in the position that Joe Biden is in right now, first of all, Joe Biden wouldn't be conceding because we all know that was the game plan for the Democrats to not
Hillary told
concede.
him never ever concede.
But Elizabeth Warren and a whole bunch of others will be pointing back to that letter going, yeah, we told you a year ago we had concerns about this software. But they're awful quiet right now because there's no need to rock the boat and raise those issues from a year ago that, again, the government and all its great governmentness of inaction and doing nothingness.
Right.
A year and nothing.
What I think you're starting to see, folks, is the youth, the young people, the ones that we've given up on, you think the vast majority of them are like, hey, man, if it's free, I'll take 3. They're all in. They're all in with Joe Biden, right? Because it's going to be free this, free that. What people aren't counting on is the integrity of these young people and how many of them that understand computers, understand software, they're like, this is ridiculous. This thing is clearly rigged. They don't like that. I'm hearing that more and more on the street is, hey, for a while it was like, Trump's a bully, Trump's a misogynist. Now they're like, hey, Biden's a cheater.
Yeah. Well, in that letter, they used the, quote, anecdotal evidence of people saying that here's how I voted when I went to hit submit. Everything was changed on my vote when I reviewed it before I submitted it, right? All the issues that we've been talking about that have been labeled anecdotal for Trump and no evidence of widespread fraud at all, or irregularities or improprieties at the very least,
right?
Fraud at the worst. These were all outlined in that letter. A year ago, it's sufficient enough evidence to put in a letter signed by senators and congressmen and women to raise concerns about Dominion software. A year later, these same incidents are anecdotal. That's not widespread fraud. That's no evidence. You see how it's flipped in a year, folks?
Yeah.
And then you wonder why people are skeptical and why people don't trust the system and the government. Because a year ago, the exact same things that Donald Trump is saying has been going on and others have been saying are going on, but they're being disregarded by the media. A year ago, it was significant enough to be in a letter signed by our senators and congressmen. A year later, it's dismissed as anecdotal and doesn't add up to anything.
Well, be aware that I was just reading that the Trump campaign ought to pay $7.9 million in advance if they want to recount in Wisconsin. What you're seeing, folks, is evidence of the fact that the majority of America is pretty dumb. Just is. They may know what they know, but when it comes to thinking for themselves or trying to figure out what's ultimately best for the republic, they're pretty dumb. And for example, well, you can't leave the country without your papers. There's a huge percentage of folks right here in Victoria County who would say, well, that's okay. I don't ever leave the country anyway. I ain't never left the country. I've never left Victoria County.
Yeah.
All I want's a free cell phone. I mean, come on, that's the truth. And there's a large percentage of our country that's borderline so ignorant that this doesn't really affect them. They don't really care who's in office. It's all about what I individually get in exchange for my 8 hours a day.
Well, and it takes me back to the selfishness of those who voted against Trump simply because they hated him and he makes them feel bad. Didn't matter that things were good for the country and we had record low unemployment amongst every socioeconomic group that you could that's ever counted and measured in the history of this country, right?
Yes.
Prior to COVID-19, things were going good for people who had been historically disadvantaged forever.
And you see what BJ Nelson says? I blame Duck Dynasty. Those beards brought down the mentality of America. I know she's being tongue-in-cheek because you can just see absolutely BJ Nelson with a shotgun hanging out with the Duck Dynasty boys over in Monroe, Louisiana.
Is there anything more pro-American success story than that?
Yeah.
They built a better mousetrap. They didn't like the duck call. They didn't like the duck calls. They made their own. They worked. They were good. They turned it into an industry, and then they get a reality series.
They didn't do that, Ash. The government.
Oh, that's right.
That.
Yes, I forgot.
The government took that chance and built that business.
Yeah.
Answer me this. Did they not use public roads? Did they not use the postal system? The government built that business, Ash.
I forgot.
That's exactly what Barack Obama said. You didn't build that business. The American people built that business. That guy.
I forgot.
I tell you what, Barack Obama better hope that Joe Biden clings to this because I think Donald Trump's going to put him in jail. or drag him through the mud.
Have you noticed how vocal he's been in the last 10 days or so?
Barack,
Yeah.
he's got a new book coming out called The Promised Land.
Yeah, he's got a new book. I mean, besides that, how much influence and say do you think he's going to have in Biden's administration?
A lot.
That's exactly.
A lot. I
That's
think
exactly
Biden might make him an ambassador somewhere. Like
Benghazi?
Africa. We're Africa, so he could go home to the motherland. Yeah, I think there's a chance.
Put him in Benghazi. That would be sweet.
That would be nice. Let him go to Benghazi with him and Hillary. You know, Hillary got in trouble when she said, what does it even matter anymore? It was so long ago. What matters to those people, Hillary, that you left hanging out?
Yeah. And the media doesn't care about that. But then they go and jump on a fake story that Trump called servicemen suckers and losers.
Yeah. Hillary's like, I did worse to Vince Foster. Folks, today's a great day to get to Veracruz. Get in there. Today is the day before Caldo Wednesday. Now, what that tells me is, since they're not making caldo, they got plenty of time to focus on your beef or chicken fajitas, cheese enchiladas, beef enchiladas. They've got the best charro beans. They make a black bean soup that's spicy by design. And I love spicy, and if you've had it, it's got a kick. Highly recommend it. Get the taco salad. Do it Wade and Carter style. Take the chips out of the taco salad. Fantastic. They'll do it with beef or chicken fajita and or the ground beef. It's wonderful.
It is really good.
Highly recommend. Veracruz today for lunch. You're in and out in under an hour. In and out for under, $11.50. Yeah, $10. Get by there.
Specials are there every day. It's not just today's not this day. You can get whatever you want.
Absolutely. Razor IT Solutions. Razor is just there every day. They're there. You want them on that wall. You need them on that wall. Come on, people. They're like the Gitmo of the computer world. Reach out to John Paul. Let him help you with your analytics, your website, your presence. You'll be glad. He'll help you with your branding on both Facebook and the internet. He'll tie it all together. It'll make sense to you when you see it. It's like you don't know when your stuff's done right, but you know it when you see it. And that's what JP does. Reach out to Razor IT Solutions. You also know what looks right. The new Chevy Suburban is fantastic. Go in and tell me what the Wade and Carter special. I have no idea what it is, but they'll give you something. Because Tommy Taylor ain't messing around.
Spin you around in a quick boot in the behind.
He is not collecting the new Suburbans or the new Corvettes. Go by Adson since 1926, Victoria's dealership.
Chevrolet, Cadillac, Mitsubishi, Mazda, they've been selling. Those are all the new cars, but they have a great selection of pre-owned vehicles. So stop by.
Paint and body shop. They do great work. By the way, don't let your inspections get behind. You still have to be inspected to get your license tag.
Yeah.
Unless you're Clint Ives, you better be current.
I still think they're doing the old courtesy exception for up-to-date tags.
For COVID?
Yeah, for COVID.
I can deal with that. Ride that. It's like the rules of golf. They work against you so much. When they're in your favor, take advantage. Tell you somebody that's always in your favor, White Trash Services, 550-1826. They'll reach out and help you anywhere in the 6-county region and Holiday Beach and Rockport. They just did a roll-off for the Cobra cleanup. It went perfectly. Then they loaded that truck up. They drove it back to town. It all blew out all over Victoria County on the way back. That'll teach them. No, they're pros. They know what they're doing. They cover it up. They know what they're doing. Reach out, 550-1826. We always mention Dwayne Proctor at GDP Techs. If your laptop doesn't work, doesn't talk to your printer, 550-4744. Chris Conrad calls it the United Soviet States of America. Funny, the Russians have said all my life, we won't fire a shot. We'll just keep introducing it, and you'll wake up one day and realize you're communist. People like Joe Biden have fallen for that. People that think of the arrogance, people, of an elected official going to Washington and deciding they've learned so much and you're so dumb that they can handle your life better for you. Think about the concept of you don't need to buy your own health insurance. We need to give it to you. You don't want to mess with all those deductibles. You don't want to have the hassle of actually getting a job and getting health insurance. it should be provided to you along with just a living wage because you're too stupid to do anything. Just vote for us and we'll take care of you.
Office of the President-elect yesterday, Joe Biden was saying that, we got to look out for the workers and not the wealthy.
He's the wealthy.
He's the wealthy. Wall Street backed him.
That ought to tell you something.
He wasn't known as Senator MBNA for nothing, folks.
Jeff Fonseca says there's a gently pre-owned gray Camry on the lot from the other day, but the lights don't work. The light switch doesn't work.
No, neither did the windshield wiper.
Ash was on such a rant. Was that Monday?
That was, I think, Friday.
Was it Friday? You were very hostile.
Pecos Promenade has been running through my head since Jeremy Pena checked in from Pecos, Texas.
Good morning, Jeremy Pena. It's a good dude right there.
But what was the other? Oh, yeah. $10,000 in student loan debt just gone, forgiven.
Don't worry about it.
Up to $50,000 if you went to a public university or an HBCU. Is that pandering, you think?
Oh, just trying to buy the vote of the youth. See, and I have a little bit of a tainted view because all three of my older kids went to Texas A&M, which is a conservative university. I mean, it's the Aggies aren't lining up for free government stuff. They're not afraid to actually get out of college and get a job. The Aggies still brag about their placement rate, how many people graduate and actually get a job. Whereas you go somewhere like Berkeley, it ain't about getting a job. It's about getting a degree and being indoctrinated.
Being able to feel good.
Sure. True story. Adam Daugherty calls the Democratic Party the new founding fathers of America.
Yeah, they really do. They wish they would. They were. James Kerr says the workers. Where have we read that before?
Yeah.
Somewhere in a manifesto? Yeah,
could be a little
yeah. So
little Lenin, little Marxist.
30th named storm of the year, Iota.
Iota
slammed into Honduras and Nicaragua.
Doesn't that
intensified rather quickly?
It is a letter of the alphabet in the Greek alphabet, but iota, right? Like one little iota, it's like a minuscule, right?
Yeah. Arthur O'Brien asked, "Does student loan forgiveness mean my mortgage is forgiven?" No, because that's why Wall Street loves Joe Biden.
What would happen, except that we might all be homeless? What would happen if we just said, if 75 million Republicans literally said, we're not going to take it. We're not going to make a house payment in January. I'm being hypothetical. Not making a house payment in January. I just wonder what would happen.
Didn't write that check to the government come April 16th.
Yeah, it's not right.
Stephen Tyler says, because I live within my means, pay my debt, and save, I will be made to pay the debts of those who don't.
Absolutely, Stephen. That's your privilege as an American, is to help those who don't help themselves.
And USA Today, in an effort to illustrate this yesterday, or I think it was yesterday or over the weekend, had a story about a guy who's got $60,000 in debt, which isn't astronomical. I'm surprised that they actually use somebody with that low a number.
I was going to say, is that a big number? Is that bad?
It doesn't seem to be, but he went to physical therapy school. I wasn't quite figuring this. Here's the story. He went to the University of Indianapolis. Decent school. Went to physical therapy school. He was working as a physical therapist in Clearwater, Florida, making $50,000 a year. He's got $60,000 in student loan debt.
I'm following you so far.
So the disconnect for me is, okay, why the University of Indianapolis and why are you now in Florida? And now you're unemployed. I happen to know how busy the physical therapists are in this town.
Maybe he wasn't very good.
Well, that's
but it's
part
better
of
to be unemployed in Florida than Indy.
Well, yeah, true. But if you were in Indianapolis, but again, part of this to me, well, I'm not going to go where the jobs are. I want the jobs to come to me.
Right.
Right? You're sitting there in Clearwater, Florida, and I get it. Nice part of Florida. But you're unemployed.
Yeah, if you're not LeBron James, they're not coming to you.
Yeah. I mean, why go on Indeed.com, dude? Lots of physical therapist jobs out there.
Sure.
And $50,000 a year. If that's your only debt, your student loan debt, you should be able to make that pay off fairly quickly.
See,
But I'm assuming there's a car there. He's probably living in an apartment. That might be too much apartment. I'm making a lot of assumptions here. But some of the, to me too, that there's a disconnect. Indianapolis to Florida. Would he have $60,000 in debt if he was actually went to school in Florida, if that's where he's from? Or was that because he paid a whole bunch of out-of-state tuition?
Well, that 280 on that SAT forced him into
maybe. But again, it's part of the lack of accountability for your decisions is now the government's responsibility and the rest of American taxpayers to fix.
But here's what I've learned, and I've learned that I'm the problem. And my problem is this. I'm somewhat of what you would call a social Darwinist. I don't believe in a fettered marketplace. I believe if you have a skill set, which I think everybody does, if you have a skill set, you will seek the level that your skill set allows you to do. If you are fortunate enough to have somebody pay for your college, then in theory, you enhance your skill set, makes you more valuable in the world. If you pay your own way through college to enhance your skill set, there's a trade-off because you have to amortize everything, right? If I go to college, I can make an extra $10,000 a year, but it costs me $80,000 to do it. Okay, so for 8 years after college, you got to use the extra $10,000 you're making to pay off the college, and after that, it's all gravy. Gravy, like from Uncle Mud's barbecue. But the problem is, the left wants to promise you that everybody deserves cable. Everybody needs a new iPhone. Everybody needs a new car. Everybody deserves to own a home. That is not the American dream. The American dream is that everybody has an opportunity. The American promise is that everybody has an opportunity to earn those things. And our millennial environment right now, you see those kids, you've got the hill to climb to be at the top of the corporation. And the kids today stand at the bottom and go, I really want to contribute, but I know I can contribute better up there. I can't make a difference down here. My ideas are too big. It doesn't work that way. So I don't know. I don't believe that everybody deserves the same lifestyle. And then people say, well, that's because you've got white privilege. It's funny to me because I talk to literally hundreds of my Hispanic friends who are like, preach it, brother. Nobody gave it to us. Nobody gave it to us. So it's interesting. We'll see what happens as time goes on. Joe Biden's going to try to give you things. Just realize that while he's putting money in one pocket, he's taking your freedom right out of your back pocket.
Clinton Meyer, personal choice and responsibility is exactly right. I got a doctorate in physical therapy, just sort of $90,000 in student loans. I paid it off in 7 years. I made that my top priority. I didn't buy stupid stuff.
Him and Dave Ramsey are buddies.
Yeah, Kevin Myers and Dave Ramsey could probably fix this country's money problems in no time. But you're an anomaly these days, Clayton. Because I see so many make this mistake. The first thing they do when they get out of college is they go and buy a new car. Or they go and they move into an apartment that they don't need to be living in.
Steve Tyler. Everybody deserves a new gun and a basic load of ammo. Keep your powder dry and your knife sharp.
Thank you, Davy Crockett.
Right? It is funny how things change. I was reading, and Steve Tyler will relate to this. I was reading yesterday, just yesterday, in a book on tape. I wasn't really actually reading while I was driving. I was listening. A book about Stonewall Jackson. They talked about how back in
You can't read.
the Civil War days, they'd had this, like they call it a Napoleon 12-pounder smoothbore. Well, it was a cannon, a 12-pound ball, and it, and it would bounce and like just rip off a shoulder or whatever. Or it may frag and blow stuff up.
Yeah, that's the Hollywood.
Yeah.
That's the magic of Hollywood. Cannonballs didn't blow up back in the day.
Right. So they go along, they have these muskets. The guy can shoot and load a musket in about 30 seconds, but while he's doing that, there's just, lead balls. Lead balls typically went through and came out the other side, and it wasn't that big a deal. Infection, in fact, killed so many more Civil War people, infection and dysentery more than bullets. But a guy named Minier, that the Americans insisted on calling Mini, made a thing called a mini ball. And what it was is at the back end of this pointed projectile, okay, when the gun fired, it flared out the bottom, and as it went through the rifling, it was a self-cleaning gun, and it changed the range to well over 400 yards. So what started happening in the Civil War, they noticed these guys would push these cannons up there because the cannons were real accurate at 100 yards. And from 300 yards away, the snipers would shoot all the cannon dudes. So things can change really quickly. Has nothing to do with what we've been talking about this morning.
Nothing at all.
It's just a stream of consciousness from me to you. Now, I'll tell you two people that enjoyed that. Sheriff Ladderback and Steve Tyler. Other than that, everybody's going, what's he talking about?
I have no clue either.
Yeah.
Kevin Leininger says today's necessities are yesterday's luxuries.
That's right.
But are they all necessary?
No, they're not.
Christina Wise says sacrifice and achievement is the goal. If you don't earn it, how can you appreciate your gains?
I don't know. I'd sure like to inherit about 10 million. I think I'd appreciate it. But in today's society, you could convince yourself that you earned it. You inherit $10 million and you're like, I had it coming, man. My uncle was a jerk.
Well, but here's the problem with the left. Your family works hard to give you a better life and leave you that legacy. When they go on,
Can't do it.
the left says that's not yours.
Yeah.
You
hear about it all the time. The guy gets 1,000 acres and he has to sell 400 of them just to pay the taxes. To me, that doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem right.
No, I agree. BJ Nelson said you would move to Cabo.
I will. I plan to move to Cabo San Lucas.
Only problem in Cabo, there's no Uncle Mutts.
Wow.
We're going to get your barbecue on.
I'll get them to send it down with the vaccines in the sub-zero temperatures.
There you go.
Brisket, ribs, sausage, turkey.
Chicken.
They've got it all. Let's see what today. Today is Tuesday. Today's special is Chili Fest. You ate it last week.
It was phenomenal.
Free regular drink with any chili purchase. Now, they'll do it. Chili on a potato, chili on a salad.
Frito pie.
Frito pie.
Yep.
He just got a bowl of chili.
Just got a bowl of chili. And you know what? I don't know if they make it the same every week. But the surprise for me was there were pieces of sausage in there.
Really?
Yeah.
Thought you were going to say you found a finger in there or something. I know they're making the same 9-finger bill. The next week he's 8-finger bill. Uncle Matt's barbecue, folks. It is just phenomenal. It's the best barbecue in the whole area.
Chili's really good. I'm not just saying that. I really enjoyed it and probably could go back for more.
Go ahead and check it out. The Gray Barn. Reach out to Cheryl for your next event. Make it memorable. 920-6803.
You need to decorate for 5 or 10 people that you're having over for Thanksgiving because it's all Uncle Joe Biden is going to allow you to have.
Yeah, she can do it.
She'll do
She
it.
can make it look like there's more people there. Like those cutouts.
Yeah, she'll get those and just place them around.
Yeah, like you look over, Nolan Ryan sitting in the corner. It could all work. Reach out to the Gray Barn. Went Services, Went Electrical. Right now, we've been plugging Went solar panels. Trust us. Carl went and told me, he goes, hey, this is the real deal. If you put solar panels on a building you own, the depreciation and the tax credits basically allow you to amortize that in less than 5 years. You get all your money back from the government in one form or another, tax credits, rebates, whatever. And the next thing you know, you're getting free power going forward. USA Concrete Coatings.
Check out their phenomenal Facebook page, and the before and after stories will tell you the entire story of what USA Concrete Coatings can do.
Yeah, 578 Home. Charlie Garcia and his crew will come out. They can also level your home. So if you've got that garage floor, it's got a big crack and the back end's hanging off, they can level it, put a coat on it. You'll never see it again. Be beautiful. They do pool decks, porches, patios, bedrooms, I mean, anything with concrete, any hard surface. Yeah, they can cover. And then budget blinds. 40% off a selected group now. I had to get that off the radio. We're waiting on some input from Craig and Casey Houseworth. They are super busy, but we can tell you that in the big picture, this time of year, especially given that they'll give you a free estimate, a free consultation about what's trendy, what looks good. You can modernize your entire living room by getting rid of grandma's polyester curtains.
And here's the thing, it's not like ordering offline.
Yeah.
Where you have to install them. They will come and do the install.
Do the whole thing.
They'll measure and they'll install.
Yep.
Well, you don't have to do anything. You just have to tell them what you want.
Go back up. I talked to Stacy Smith.
BJ Nelson asked if Cheryl will help decorate the West Comes South Republican fundraiser.
Absolutely. We're looking potentially at a January date. It was a Thursday. Colonel West is already booked all the way through the holidays. But it'd be in January, which is good. Gives us time to
plan it and do it
and
right.
narrow the list and all that. But we're looking at that. We'll get back to you guys on that. I need to coordinate with the Nelsons what would work for them.
Steve Tyler says, I work, sacrifice, and save to leave it all to politicians to curry favors and buy votes. God forbid my kid end up better off.
Right. Yeah, no, you can't do that. And the idea of the American dream is just coming to an end.
Property tax equals government sanctioned theft / slavery, according to Kathleen Leininger.
There you go. She must have met Caleb Shaw somewhere.
James Kerr said, pay the tax when you buy it. That should be it.
I've never understood one, and of course I haven't, because I don't have that situation. I haven't spent a lot of time researching it. I did not know until just a year ago that the county collects a tax on your assets every year. Did you know this? So you've got your, and I'm sure that BJ Nelson could expound on this, but you've got a building, and you've got your stuff in there, and you buy a new computer, and at the end of the year, the county, they assess the value of what you've got in that building, and they send you a bill for it. True story. It sounds right. It sounds so absurd that it can't be true, but I'm almost positive that it is accurate. If somebody knows an exact 575-9509, do you get an asset tax from the county? If you do, let me know.
I think it's part of your property tax assessment, isn't it?
I don't already paid for it. If I own it, if I buy a Dell computer and stick it on the shelf, why are you going to tax me on it after that?
And you paid tax on this when you bought it.
Absolutely.
NCAA announcing that their basketball tournament will be likely in one location. So all 64 teams will be
the bubble
there.
All the topless dancers are packing their bags.
Yeah, heading to Indianapolis.
Heading to wherever it's going to be. Did you see where
True story.
Chris
Super
Paul's
Bowl,
going to Phoenix?
Super Bowl, NCAA tournament, bowl games, Super Bowl, Olympics.
Strippers.
Yep.
Yep.
And prostitutes.
Just have the whole thing in Vegas.
Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey from Twitter expected to testify before Congress today, or the Senate, I should say, on their fact-checking and blatant censorship of items that were posted on their social media platforms prior to the election. So that could be an interesting watch on C-SPAN later today.
It's an ad valorem tax on your assets, just like property taxes. Steve Kidder says, I'm paying county taxes on my Mac. I can't file that away as a question for Judge Zeller.
All right.
He's a very reasonable and fair guy. And I know he has an obligation to raise funds. But if I buy a tool to make my job easier, an example of a computer, that allows me to make more money and pay more taxes, why should I have to pay taxes on the tool? Think about it. So I've got a shovel. I'm a post hole digger, and I build fence. So
I'd advise you get a post hole digger. Make that job easier.
So I go out and buy an auger so I can do a lot more fence. And as I'm doing a lot more fence, I of course pay more taxes on my revenue. Why should I pay taxes on the auger? It makes no sense. It's a de-incentivizing. It's a regressive thing.
Well, because it's necessary, because Joe Biden wants more people to be taken care of by the government.
Fonzie says that tax is the reason he runs Windows 95.
So if it's a negative value, does the county then pay you?
Steve Kidder says it's because you don't own that show. That's not your show.
Eugene Nelson says local taxing entities feel that the assets are an opportunity to get more taxing dollars.
I think you're going to see, let me tell you what I think has happened that you're going to see more of. The idea that a loosely, shoddily sponsored group of ne'er-do-well idiots like Black Lives Matter, the fact that they can walk up to the office of the president-elect and say, what are you going to do for us? Because we helped get you elected.
No Marxists.
You're going to see smart, conservative, probably Southern people organize more tightly and simply say, we're not going to take it. If BLM can go to the streets and create fear, I believe that conservative folks with some leadership can create economic anarchy by saying, we're not going to spend our money on your things. We're not going to pay those taxes. Now, what are you going to do about it? You going to lock up 40 million of us? Doubtful. You better make some changes. It's going to be interesting.
Monday Night Football yawner. I tried to watch it sort of as an escape.
Two guys that shouldn't be playing in the NFL, Nick Foles, Kirk
Foles
Cousins.
still all right.
Yeah, he was till he got hurt.
Bears Vikings. This would have been a great matchup 20 years ago.
Yeah,
30 years ago.
85, and the 85 Dub Bears.
Tommy Kramer.
Well, I was thinking
He's
about
still there?
Jim McMahon. Yeah. The 85 Bears.
Yeah, but I just couldn't do it. And the Bears are wearing orange jerseys yesterday.
Oh yeah, they think they're Denver.
So I thought was playing at first. I thought it was the Bears and Vikings.
It
not
does
Denver.
look just like Denver, doesn't it?
Kinda,
It's
yeah.
the orange from the stripe on their blue jersey.
Yeah, and until I saw the GSH.
Is that just a permanent
Yeah, I
tribute
think
to
so.
George S. Hallis?
Yeah. But I think this will be a good one to finish the show on with. I'll get to it here.
You see that, James Kerr says, James, I think you're underestimating folks. I do. Once the first business owner has the FBI show up and close their business and take everything, everyone will fold. I don't agree. I think you're going to see people say,
Steve Tyler says conservative groups will be targeted like the Tea Party activists and buried by the media and the machine. And don't forget, the government will then use the IRS as weaponry to go against those who speak out,
Right.
as Barack Obama did. Oh, who was part of that administration? Joe Biden.
Yeah.
You don't think Biden is above using the tools of the government to go after ordinary
for sure.
citizens?
It makes perfect sense to him. He's been there 47 years. He helped invent some of those mechanisms. I don't think that the media is going to have the clout going forward that it had prior to this election cycle. I think the idea that even if the media tells the truth now, I believe it raises flags and people are like, wait a minute, can we trust that? Is it true? I think the media's got problems with credibility. And I think that's going to hurt their ability to lean on the American citizen who pushes back.
Jeff Fonseca says he wore the Jim McMahon neck sweatband in Pee Wee football.
Nice.
Or Nike, I should say. Yeah, it's probably Nike, not a neck sweatband. Those were headbands that Jim McMahon wore. Remember he got in trouble for drawing little messages on us?
Oh, yeah.
Things for a while.
Yeah, he put like Roselle on there.
Yeah, and
fine.
then he had to, and they were like bandana, or he just cut a sheet and made a bandana, and then he had to actually wear real ones.
Just to let you know why I'm not a huge NFL fan, though, a couple of years ago, Tim Tebow put like John 3:16 on the heel of his Nike, and the league fined him and told him he couldn't wear it and all that. Now the league sanctions, here's some acceptable logos you can put on there, BLM and all that. It's just the tragic hypocrisy of the left is their biggest telltale sign. And there is a brewing hatred for the left in this country that is bigger than the fake outrage that the left has employed against the right in order to get what they want. And when it comes to a head,
well, because freedom-loving people don't like communism or Marxism.
absolutely.
And they're educated and they understand. They haven't been indoctrinated into believing that these are ideals that we should strive for. They kill people, they keep people down. It's all BS. If you think the end goal for these folks is to have everybody the same,
No.
go do a little studying and a little research. I'm not speaking to those who are on here because they know.
Go read Animal Farm.
I'm speaking to the lady that called last week loving Joe Biden.
Yeah, just need a change. We just need a change.
Go look at how well it worked out for those in the Soviet Union. Go look and see how well it's working out for people in China who speak out against that government. Oh, they're never heard from again. And who has all the money? The Chinese Communist Party and those that are faithful to it.
No doubt.
Everybody else is working in the factories that give you your iPhone for pennies a day.
Absolutely. I'm telling you, folks, we're heading for some dark times.
None darker than the Baseball Hall of Fame. Maybe we'll get into the ballots of those on the ballot tomorrow.
We can
We're
do
out of
that
time.
tomorrow. And I'll tell you this, Ash and I 100% agreed on it. We'd love to have a dissenting comment. So let's talk about it. Mañana, you guys are loved. Be safe. It's not all doom and gloom. It's just a matter of what are you willing to do to maintain your liberties. That's what you've got to look at. Have a great day. Be safe out there. We love you. Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.